How have the new recommendations for continuous professional development been received, particularly around currency provisions?
Well, that's a very good question, and I'm not too sure. We've put it into IMCA M117, and it's well set out there. What we want to do during this year is actually check to see how much is being used and maybe find some way of promoting that use.
A recurrent talking point in the session was obviously the quality of personnel and the availability of personnel.
Yes, that's true. So the key issue, of course, is not just whether they've got a certification or got certification, it's whether they actually know what they're going to be doing. So familiarisation is a big part of reactivation of a DP vessel. And IMCA has this work group ongoing at the moment where we're looking at just the bullet points of what is required to reactivate a DP vessel. Not detailed guidance. There's a lot of guidance out there from DP classification societies and such like. So this memo has been asked for by the Marine Division Management Committee of IMCA, and that's what we're working on at the moment. So that should be developed by the middle of the year.
You talk about guidance. Has the difference between FMEA proving trials and complete tests finally been properly defined?
Nice one. Okay, well, the way I look at it as a DP proving trial, the clues in the wording there is a proving trial. So what you're trying to do, you're trying to prove a series of questions and theories. And once you've proved those theories, then that's fine. So then later on down the way, you then want to do a complete test to make sure that nothing has changed. But you don't need to reprove the theory that you've proved earlier on.
Staying with the technical, of course, we spoke about regular manual ship handling when on non-DP required operations. Would you recommend it? And is it time for regulations for manual handling?
No, I don't think regulations is the answer, but good practice, working with the client and recognising that needs to be done. And really the clients have done that through the OCIMP white paper. So what we need to do now is to make sure that it's actually happening. And that doesn't need regulation, that needs a willpower from vessel operators and a willpower from the clients.
Something the market is asking for is clarification on the most important differences between following minimum class requirements and IMCA standards.
Okay, well, clarification, that's a good... So IMCA is guidance and that's best practice. No one needs to follow it, it's guidance. So if you have a minimum standard, which is class requirements, then that's not necessarily how the vessel will operate and how it will go about its tasks. So a DP Class 2 system on used on a DSV might be it will have totally different requirements to a DP2 class vessel doing cargo work or even ROV work in open water.
Now, you're all about guidance and best practice, but to what extent are your initiatives hampered by the fact that DP training schools don't seem to fail candidates? Well,
I think we heard today that actually they do fail candidates, so that might be a bit of a myth out there in the ionosphere. So test centres are accredited, so depending on the depth that goes into that accreditation will depend on how well they are at making sure that the people that come through the system are the people that we want. And failing, yeah, it's not good for the person that failed maybe, but there again, he shouldn't be out there doing things wrong. He can always go back and learn again. Somewhere along the line he's failed to learn. So there we go. They do seem to fail. Yeah, they're candidates.
Picking up on the fail point, I'll put to you the question I put to you in the open session. We have the good fortune of having these chats at least once a year. Scrolling forward to the year ahead, what do you believe will be the biggest pain points and what do you see as the biggest opportunities?
Okay, so again, we're looking at a pain point. What we want to do is encourage manual handling of vessels. That's where traditionally people came to and into the DP world. So DP is a tool. So one of the other questions that was asked today was whether DP Class 1 should be banned or whatever. Well, why should it be banned? You know, DP is a tool. So you drive a vessel, you use tools to drive it. You can use a joystick, you can use manual sticks, you can use a system that has no fail-safe. You've got to choose where you use that system, of course, but that's where we are there. So what was the other question? Oh, go on. Looking towards the future and what we're looking to. So I think this IMCA is currently working on a scheme to introduce accreditation for DP practitioners, and I think that's a great opportunity. I don't think it's necessarily going to be easy, because I first read about this idea back in a paper in 2004, long before I joined IMCA. But there is a will from the Marine Division Management Committee to look at the options and try and finalise a scheme and introduce it. So we shall see come the end of this year.